Martin Luther King Jr. was a brave man who faced many dangers and threats in his fight for civil rights. He was arrested, beaten, bombed, and spied on by his enemies. He knew that his life was always at risk, but he never gave up on his vision of justice and equality. One day, he faced an unexpected attack that could have ended his life. It happened on September 20th, 1958, when he was at a Bloomstein's department store in Harlem for a book signing. He had just published his first book, Stride Toward Freedom, which chronicled the Montgomery bus boycott. He was sitting at a table, surrounded by admirers and supporters, when a young woman slipped past the line of people to approach him. The woman, named Isola Curry, asked if he was really Martin Luther King Jr., and after he replied yes, she thrust a 7-inch letter opener into his chest. King gasped and fell back in his chair. The crowd screamed and panicked. Some people tried to help him, while others tried to catch the woman, who was still holding the weapon. She was quickly subdued by the store security and handed over to the police. She was later found to be mentally ill and paranoid. She believed that King and other civil rights leaders were communists who were plotting against her. King was rushed to Harlem Hospital, where he underwent emergency surgery. The doctors discovered that the letter opener had pierced his sternum and was dangerously close to his aorta. If it had been moved slightly, he would have bled to death. The doctors carefully removed the letter opener and stitched up his wound. They told him that he was very lucky to be alive. King was in a lot of pain, but he was also grateful. He thanked God for sparing his life and prayed for his attacker. He also showed his remarkable sense of humor. When he woke up from the anesthesia, he saw his wife, Coretta, and his friend, Ralph Abernathy, by his bedside. He smiled and said, "Don't worry. I'm all right." Then he added, "I've been stabbed in my chest before." He was referring to an incident that had happened a few months earlier, when he had been stabbed in the chest by a rose thorn while gardening at home. He had joked about it then, saying that it was a sign of God's displeasure with him for neglecting his duties. He joked about it again now, saying that God must have been really angry with him this time. Coretta and Ralph laughed and cried at the same time. They were relieved that he was alive and still able to make jokes. They hugged him and told him how much they loved him. King spent several weeks in the hospital, recovering from his injury. He received many letters and messages of support from people all over the world. He also received a letter from President Eisenhower, who expressed his sympathy and admiration. King wrote back to Eisenhower, thanking him for his kind words and urging him to do more for civil rights. He also wrote back to some of the people who had sent him letters, especially children. He told them that he was not afraid of death and that he hoped they would join him in the struggle for freedom. He also wrote a letter to Isola Curry, the woman who had stabbed him. He told her that he forgave her and that he hoped she would get well soon. He said, "I bear you no ill will and know that thoughtful people will do all in their power to see that you get the help you need." He also said, "Let us hope that a climate of peace will soon prevail in our nation." King's letter opener attack was one of the most shocking and dramatic moments of his life. It could have killed him or discouraged him from continuing his work. But it did not. It only made him stronger and more determined. It also showed his amazing grace and compassion. He did not hate or resent his attacker. He did not seek revenge or justice. He only saw forgiveness and healing. He also showed his incredible courage and humor. He did not let fear or pain stop him from making jokes or inspiring others. He learned a valuable lesson that day, that love is stronger than hate, and that laughter is stronger than tears.
Thank you for listening. For more stories like this, please consider subscribing.